Ooh, the true pass.
いよいよ今日から発の修行に入ります。
Yes.
発をマスターすれば念の基礎は全て収めたことになります。あとは創意工夫を持って独自の念を構築していくだけです。つまり念能力の集大成といえ
And it's really unique
次
to
の
each
6つのタイプ
individual,
に
right?
大別されます。
Whoa.
物の持つ働きや力を強くする強化系、
Hisoka's cards.
オーラを飛ばす放出系、
I've seen that as well.
オーラの性質を変える変化系、オーラを物質化する具現化系、物質や生物を操る操作系。
Ooh, and creatures.
これら5つとは違う他に類のない特殊なオーラ、これは特質系
I've
と言います。
essentially seen examples of most of this already.
大事なのは自分に合った能力を見つけること。念能力はその人の個性、主に2つの才能が
Life
深く
force.
つながっています。一つは生まれ持った才能、もう一つは生活の中で磨かれた才能。
Yeah. Makes sense.
例えばゴン君の場合、柔軟でバネのある筋力は生まれついてのもの。研ぎ澄まされた五感は大自然を遊び場にして培われたものです。稀にオーラが特質系に変わることもありますが、
Let's put a pin in that. Ooh.
これが属性の相性を示す六小図です。
Ah,
オー
I
ラの
like
性質
it.
と近いものほど得得の相性がいい。そして隣り合う変化系、放出系も相性が良い
Okay,
ので覚え
okay.
やすく、
Concise.
逆に最も強化系オーラの
It's the
性質と
exact
遠い
opposite, so
特質系の能力は非常に覚えにくい。
the furthest.
あなた方も実際に見た能力で説明しましょうか。
That's a good approach. Let's hear it.
密かの場合はオーラをゴム状に変える能力を使っています。
Bungee
これ
gum.
は変化系。ギドはコマと自身の回転力を高め、
Objects
武器としているので強化系。
Enhancer, okay.
そしてカストロ。彼の孤高剣は素晴らしい威力でした。おそらく彼のオーラは強化系に属していたはずです。しかし彼はダブルを作る能力を選んでしまった。これは具現化系の能力です。しかもダブルを操る操作系の能力も必要とされる。
Wow. Okay,
この
Castro.
2つは強化系オーラとは性質的に離れた場所に位置します。
どちらも強化系とは相性が悪かったんだね。
苦手な能力を得得できたのはたゆまぬ努力と武芸の才能の賜物。しかしその結果、彼はその才能のほぼ全てを念能力に費やしてしまった。自分の持つオーラの性質と能力の重要さを理解してもらえましたか？
Yes, sir.
そもそも自分のオーラがどの系統に属しているか
I'm sure there is.
調べる方法なんてあんの？
あります。
Ooh. Ooh. Just about to overflow.
水見式。信玄流に伝わるオーラの選別法です。
Oh. Ah, okay.
水が溢れてる。
水の量が変わるのは強化系の証。私のオーラが強化系の性質に属していることを示しています。
Look at the looks on their faces.
ゴンも強化系か。葉っぱが動いてるっす。
葉が動くのは操作系の証です。
Maybe the glass?
なんも変わんねえぞ。
そうですね。
もしかして俺って
No, 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 no. Hold on.
いえいえ、
That's not it.
水を舐めてみてください。
Ah.
少し甘いかな。本当だ。これただの水じゃないの。
ただの水ですよ。
Yeah, but he.
水の味が変わったんです。キルア君のオーラでね。君は変化系ですね。
Oh.
おお。へえ、変化系ですか。
This is impressive, man. It's not half-assed. You could tell that a lot of time and effort has gone into this, the NAND system. And you love to see that, of course.
もしもし、ゴンだけど。
いやー、待ってたよ。僕といつ戦うか決めたかい？
ああ、7月10日。その日に決めた。
オーケー。楽しみにしているよ。
The hybrid details back. Keep at it, my boy.
いいぜ。
Go on then. Have a taste.
甘い。すごい。蜂蜜みたいだ。
よろしい。
Ooh, wow, that takes a lot out of him, huh?
これが精一杯っす。
いいでしょう。
Whoa.
ストップストップゴン君水が増える勢いでグ
Yeah.
ラスにひびが入って
How about that?
まったく大したもんですよ。
ちょっと自信あったんだよね。
Of course.
キルア君2人とも今日で卒業です。
The true pass.
マジ？やったねキルは。
Oh,
知らない。やっぱり自分は。
you'll get there. You'll get there.
まだまだ修行が必要ですね。
頑張れよ。女子ならできる。
君にはもう一つ大事なことを伝えなければなりません。ゴンフリークス君裏ハンター試験合格。
The true pass.
合格ですよ。おめでとう。
I feel so proud.
横島な密漁者や略奪を生業とする犯罪者を捕らえることはハンターの基本活動。
Hmm.
犯罪抑止力としての強さがどうしても必要となる。しかし悪用されれば恐ろしい破壊力となるこの能力、公に試験として条件化するのは危険。 それゆえ
That explains a few
表の
things
試験
as
に
well,
合
right?
格した者だけを試すのです。ちなみに私が属する新元流憲法の師範はネテロ会長ですよ。
Oh.
お二人のことは師範からいろいろ聞きました。
あのじじい。
ぜひもう一度ハンター試験を受けてください。
Yeah, you're good enough.
君なら次は必ず受かり
More
ます。
than good enough.
今の君には十分資格がありますよ。
ま、気が向いたらね。
A little bit of
ねえ
blush.
さん、試験に受かった他の人たちが今どんなか聞いてる？
ええ。
Yes.
半蔵とクラピカ、二人は別の師範のもとすでに念を得得しました。
Let's go.
ポックルは練の習得に手こずっているようですね。レオリオは医大受験後に修行を開始するようです。
My dude.
ちなみにヒソカとイルミは初めから念を習得しており、
クラピカやレオリオも頑張ってるんだね。
Those are the two he
だな。
released.
さてゴン君、最後に一つ忠告です。 明
Hisoka.
日のヒソカとの試合、くれぐれも無理をしないように。
Don't overthink it.
はい。
Oh, is this goodbye?
10万人に一人の才能です。
10万人に1人。
ただあの二人が二人とも1000万人に一人の才
Yeah, you
能を
can't
持
really
って
compare
いた
yourself
と
to
いう
them.
だけです。
慰めになっていないっす。
No, 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 no. Man, I love those two. Even if this is a goodbye to them, I love them. Oh, great shot. Oh, yeah. Ooh. My Katagon. Nice. The calm before the storm. Oh. Oh, the hype machine is in full flow at Heaven's Arena.
先に姿を現したのはゴン選手。
Wow.
ひときわ激しい炎を巻き上げ登場するのはヒソカ選手だ。
Crowd favorite. Look at that. I was just gonna mention there's not much noise as Gon walked out.
そんな目
Yeah, that look.
見つめないでよ興奮しちゃうじゃないか
Uh-oh. I'm getting turned on.
ゴン選手だ。
Easy, 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 Gon. He's going all out. There it is. Oh, that was great. The animation there. Oh, beautiful animation. Whoa. No, 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 no. You have to take a different approach. Beautiful sound design as well. Okay, gather yourself. Take a different approach.
凄まじい攻防です。実況を差し挟む隙さえありませんでした。
Yeah, he's gripping, right?
まだ僕は開始位置から動いてすらいないんだけどね。
He's not gonna like that.
本当におひえくそ見てろよ全部当てるつもりで攻撃するんじゃなくて
Good, good, good,
フェ
good.
イントを
Calm
当て
down.
ると効果があるんだな楽しんでやがるぜ
Of course he is.
やっぱり実戦技術は天と地の差だでも弱みはある密かは自分が格上だと自覚しているだから逃げないそこに付け入る隙はある
Oh. Yes. Go for the tile again. My god, the animation's stunning in this fight.
石板を砕いて石つぶて
Oh, he's gonna be hiding here.
どこだ
Oh! He got him. Clean hit. Ah. Okay.
渾身の一
He
撃
did
を
it.
密かに決めたゴン。しかしこの後、密かの実力
But
を
the
思
fight
い
still
知らされ
continues,
る
of course,
壮
yeah.
絶な激闘が待っているのである。
Oh, yes. Love that episode.
今日ご紹介するのはひそか
Yes.
電のゴムで標的を引き寄せるバンジーガムと
バンジーガム
粘着性のあるドッキリテクスチャーで物の質感を再現
Okay, so let's get into it. That right there is essentially the best episode of the series so far. Strong contender for the best episode I've seen out of the 35. My god, just top to bottom, it is a brilliant episode. It really is. And the thing is, before it even gets to this highly anticipated fight, it's already such a fantastic episode, isn't it? But then, of course, the fight itself just kind of pushes it to those great heights. And I mean, the fight itself is phenomenal. I mean, that right there is one of the best fights I've seen in anime altogether. I knew it's going to be an exciting moment, right? Once Hisoka and Gon get in there, but I didn't expect it to be that damn good. I mean, the Sakuga on display is just brilliant, right? And, you know, the thing is, it kind of deserved it, didn't it? It really kind of deserved this treatment, didn't it? I mean, it's been building and building towards this. And I think it just lives up to all the hype, doesn't it? And the thing is, it's not even done yet. Each one of them has now landed a clean hit on each other, right? Yes, it's not surprising from Hisoka's perspective, of course. All of us are expecting Hisoka to, you know, be the favorite, and he is, even going into the next, you know, portion of this fight. But Gon did it. Gon landed the punch, and it is an incredible moment. It really is, right? The stakes, I mean, you know, that's it. It's as simple as that, right? Just hoping that Gon can land that punch. But it's able to create this immense amount of tension. I mean, the tension I was feeling as that fight just plays on, and this incredible animation, the Sakuga on display, just elevates it. And it's not just that. The sound design, the lack of a score, right? But instead, you have this constant humming, this hum tone accompanying the fight itself. And that just kind of gives it a totally different feeling, doesn't it? Right? In comparison to all the other fights I've seen on stage. The approach to the fight sequence, I mean, I think the approach to the fight sequence is just masterful. And it's an incredible feeling to see Gon in there, right? Actually being kind of competitive. Yes, you know, the first part of that is a little bit frustrating for him because, you know, it's an all-out attack. He just goes on the offensive almost immediately. But of course, after Hisoka lands that clean hit, he kind of has to rethink it, right? Decides to be a bit more strategic about his approach. After giving it a proper go, right? After kind of really emptying his tank. I mean, of course, he's got much more left in the tank, but he really gave it a proper go, didn't he? And yeah, you know, of course, as expected of Hisoka, yeah, he's kind of having fun out there, right? But the thing is, after Gon landed that punch, you don't really see that smile on his face anymore, right? Yeah, I mean, the camera didn't really show his smile anymore, or at least the lower half of his face, but it didn't look like he was smiling anymore, you know, after taking that punch to the face. So, you know, ultimately, Gon has accomplished his goal, now, I think he is going to be able to really truly consider himself a hunter and use all the privileges of having the hunter license. And then of course, earlier in the episode, one of the many reasons it's such a fantastic episode, a brilliant episode, is that aspect of it. Wang essentially comes out and makes it official, right? Confirmation that indeed learning Nen and being able to use it in this capacity that is considered passable, adequate, is part of the hunter exam, part of the secret hunter exam, right? As Satotes alluded to all that time ago. And I was essentially on the right track from a few episodes ago. It became clear, I think, in the Kurapika episode. It's a bit of a check-in with Kurapika, and then of course that individual showed up, and of course it turns out that man himself is also sent to Kurapika through the Hunter Association, right? Much like everyone else. I loved the check-in with Hanzo. I love Hanzo. So it was great. It was great to get a quick check-in. Of course, Kurapika has now learned Nen as well. Part of me was a little bit bummed out that I didn't get at least one more check-in. Even a 2-minute scene, a 3-minute sequence, maybe even less. Just a quick check-in, right? To see how far he's along. But, it showed me the check-in from a few episodes ago, and now it appears that he's good to go, right? And you can see from that little screenshot of him that he's leaving that dojo. And of course, how lovely is it to see Leorio, right? He's got his face in the books at this point, so Nen isn't really a thing that's on his agenda at the moment, right? But he'll get to it. I suppose he'll get to it sooner or later, right? So I love that for Leorio, that he is able to have those resources now, right? To really, really dedicate himself to his studies. And of course, it's a lovely moment for Gon as well, right? He immediately asked him, once he found out that, Wing is a part of the Hunter Association, or at least hired through the Hunter Association, because the chairman is his master. So, that right there is quite the connection, isn't it? As that scene is playing out, I was really hoping for a sit down, right? Maybe down the line, maybe during the next arc, or just at some point, Wing and Netero together, kind of talking about Killua and Gon. Gon specifically, though, I think. Right, kind of, presenting his thoughts on Gon to Netero, to chairman, to his sensei, to his master, and then to just kind of, having a bit of a chat about this impressive young man. See, once again, there is that moment of Sensei Wing, kind of noticing this monstrous natural talent, this natural power that Gon seems to have, right? It's impressive and concerning as well. And this is as he comes back, after all of them come back and kind of showcase the improvement in their own Hatsu, right? And listen, I haven't even touched up on that aspect of it yet, right? This incredible men system just keeps getting better and better, even more intricate, even more intriguing. You see once again just how astonished Wang is of Gon's abnormal natural abilities and capacity for improvement, right? He catches on so quick, and he almost always just improves on that. But of course, I'll come back to that. Let's kind of focus on the conclusion, the fight itself. My God. Just the build-up. The build-up is so grand, isn't it? It truly had that big fight feeling, didn't it? And for me specifically, again, it's really quite reminiscent of Pride FC, right? The glory days of Pride FC. I remember seeing footage, and I remember seeing, a live look at outside of the stadiums, right? Saitama Super Arena, Yokohama Arena, right? Tokyo Dome. You get to see the buzz. You get to see all the excitement and the hype. And then, of course, inside of the arena itself, it is so grand, isn't it? Both of them getting their own entrances. Again, really reminiscent of Pride FC. Though, of course, the Japanese have a knack for this, right? They are showmen. They know how to put on a show. And the thing is, you also get to see the crowd dynamics on display, right? You see that Hisoka actually is a crowd favorite. And that makes sense. That makes sense because he's been around for a long time, right? So people get to see him, they get to appreciate him, they get to decide if they like this guy or if they hate him, right? But yeah, he's a crowd favorite. right? And then, of course, in comparison, as Gon comes out, the thing is, initially, I thought that maybe some of the production side of things was a bit lacking at that moment. As he's walking out, I was kind of expecting crowd noise. But no, it was really kind of dead, right? So dead that Gon could actually listen to individuals, specific individuals shouting out certain things. But then Hisoka walks out and there's this loud pop, right? A crowd pop. And then it became clear, okay, no. It's a choice. It was by design, there's not much noise for Gon because, again, he's a newcomer. But, newcomers can make a name for themselves quite quickly. And, he did. And I'm sure there's quite a few in that crowd that really like Gon, but it was clear that, most of them are there kind of cheering for Hisoka. And that is completely just based on the performance inside of Heaven's Arena. Though, of course, I think personality and, presence and all of that, showmanship, all of that plays a part as well. And Hisoka's got all of that and then some, right? It doesn't get any more unique than Hisoka, does it? But once again, the fight itself, my God, the fluid animation, the dynamic camera movements. There's so many standout moments. Everything about that fight is impactful. Everything about those movements is impactful, isn't it? And then, of course, Gon actually finally landing the punch. It is just beautiful. It's a beautiful moment. I couldn't help but get really quite excited for Gon and just the moment itself, right? Yes, of course, I love Hisoka as a character. Yes, I still love him. Yeah, I still love him even after I've seen something really, really quite unique, to say the least, right? Something really quite bizarre kind of happened right before the fight itself. Though it's not much of a surprise at this point, is it? Right? It really isn't. And I'll get to that. I'll give my take on that. But they set it up nicely in the last episode, right? Gon using the tile, the massive tile from the ring, from the stage, and incorporating that into his tactics. And of course, that's just one part of it, right? It's a bit of a misdirection because as, he creates all of that rubble, right? And Hisoka's kind of preoccupied trying to clear it out. He utilizes Zetsu. Because he knows for a few seconds Hisoka is going to be concentrating on this, right? All this debris that's coming at him. And at that moment, he is utilizing Zetsu, right? Because if he's not, Hisoka would have known. He would have been able to easily pick up his presence. There's a split moment of panic even, I think, or as close as panic as you're going to get on Hisoka's face, right? He's like, whoa. It's clear that he's lost him. He's lost his presence, right? And I believe it is because of Zetsu. And it kind of takes you all the way back to the exam, right? In the forest. The first time he was able to do this. Hide his presence from Hisoka. And again, Hisoka was really quite impressed. And he told him as much back then. And of course, it results in this really iconic moment. Gon finally landing that punch after all this time, right? And now he can return that badge to Hisoka, right? And now he can truly feel like, or he can truly feel free to be a hunter, especially after he's been given the okay, right? Especially after he's graduated, right? Completely from the hunter exam. But again, that being said, the fight continues. It's not as if Gon's just going to step out. He's not going to say, oh, I'm done. I landed the punch. The fight's going to continue. I think now I'll see Nen being incorporated into the fight. Because you see, in this fight, there's no Nen other than maybe the Zetsu that Gon is using, right? Before he lands the punch on Hisoka, before he gets a jump on Hisoka. But before that, it's just good old hand-to-hand combat. I mean, it's not just hand-to-hand combat, it's essentially an MMA fight. So yeah, even if it is this incredible moment, right? Gon landing that punch, he has to prepare himself because, yeah, Hisoka's about to turn it up a bit, I think, in this next part of the fight. I think, Nen is going to come into play at this point. And, us audience knows this, right? I don't think anyone is expecting Gon to actually beat Hisoka, but he can actually put up a decent challenge. He can make it interesting, right? And he did. He certainly made it interesting. And, Killua even noticed. He almost immediately, even thinks about it, right? As far as skill goes, there is this insurmountable gap, right? There just is. That's a reality of it. But of course, there was the possibility of an opening, and Gon took it. Killua saw it as well. But before I move on from this fight, let's kind of address the moment, right? Hisoka's not so subtle reaction to Gon's expression, the look in his face, the look in his eyes, that look of determination, that really specific look that does things to Hisoka, right? I mean, it truly does things to Hisoka. And in this specific case, subtlety just goes out the window, doesn't it? Right? He tells us exactly, I mean, hell, he shows us exactly how he feels, right? You know, that whole idea of his lust or his bloodlust, the ecstasy of battle, it almost being orgasmic to him. Again, they alluded to this back in the forest, right? They showed it to me, right? Him having to release that aura, that bloodlust of his at that point, right? Because it was all built up. It was all built up at that point after he saw Kurapika and Leorio. But, you know, at this point, you know, I mean, it feels like an iconic moment, right? The presentation of it. I mean, just the color design itself tells you so much about his psyche, doesn't it? It tells you so much about how he's feeling in that moment, right? Beyond just the actual, you know, physical look of him at that point, right? I mean, listen, he's literally saying, "You're turning me on." And of course, you know, the crotch is highlighted. And of course, he's sticking out his crotch, right? As he's pulling this pose. To me, it almost kind of felt like it's trying to put us, the audience, in his headspace, you know, through the color design, through the presentation. Now, listen, of course, you know, there is a creepy element attached to this. There's always been this element attached to Hisoka and his interest in, you know, people like Gon and Killua, especially given their age, right? And of course, in this one, again, subtlety goes out the window. But, you know, I feel like he would have had the same reaction if Gon happened to be an adult, right? An adult who shows the exact same capacity. I think they've done a really good job of establishing that, you know, the potential for growth in an individual is something that is, you know, something that gets Hisoka excited. It does. But in this specific case, you know, it happens to be a child, right? So of course that automatically simply has to make it creepy. I mean, you saw my reaction to it. I was really caught off guard, right? And that in itself is surprising because I just never thought that at this point I'll be really caught off guard by something Hisoka does, because I felt like I had a really strong grasp on Hisoka's character, right? His disposition, his personality. So as of this point, you know, I don't believe that him saying that he's getting turned on is in direct relation to Gon being a child. But again, it's early stages. Who knows? You know, maybe down the line, I might have to rethink my stance on Hisoka. But also, it is all by design, right? This character is meant to be like this. It is meant to make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, I think. I believe you do need characters like this, right? You need fascinating and intriguing characters like Hisoka. But, you know, like I said recently, a few episodes ago, I just find him so damn fascinating, so captivating, right? Everything about him. The voice acting, the presence, the screen presence, right? The character design. And the thing is, I just gravitate towards these types of characters anyways, right? Mavericks like Hisoka, right? I mean, everything about him, like even the high heels, the way he stepped out of the shower a few episodes ago, the tippy toes, right? The thing is, you know, it kind of flips it on its head as well in terms of fan service, right? You're getting a lot of Hisoka fan service. Right? Yes, you know, maybe early days of the series, the Hunter exam, there was the usual fan service through one of the examiners, right? The female examiner specifically. But, you know, here, I mean, over the span of these past few episodes, there's a lot of Hisoka fan service. So, I mean, in some sense, that's kind of refreshing. But again, I do want to reiterate that, yes, you know, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for Hisoka, right? In this really specific situation. Right, his reaction to Gon, who happens to be a child, right? So yeah, you know, listen, I'm not denying that. But let's shift the focus to the first half of the episode as our boys now kind of get to learn about the offensive side of Nen, right? Because up until this point, a lot of it has been about learning the self-defense side of it, right? The defensive side of Nen. But now it was time for Hatsu to be in the limelight. And you know, Hatsu is one of the more exciting components of Nen because it is so unique to each individual. And for that reason, it felt like you can just do so much with Hatsu. So much. You know, it almost felt like limitless possibilities even. But I think by introducing these 6 categories, you kind of make it a little bit less open-ended, right? and give it that semblance of a structure. And of course, at the core of it, it's all down to a mix of two things, right? I believe it's natural potential and the potential refined a little bit later in life, right? At the end of the day, a lot of it, your aura, you're kind of born with it. And they give us a perfect example in this case, Gon. And from the moment of birth, your Nen aura kind of falls within the 6 categories, right? So you've got Specialist. I mean, I'm kind of doing it backwards here. Let's kind of begin at the top. You've got Enhancer. You've got Emitter. You've got Transmuter, right? You've got a Conjurer. You've got Manipulator. And then you've got a Specialist, right? Specialist. See, that one I'm sure is going to be fascinating once I really truly get to see a prime example of that, I mean, as of this point, I've only really seen half of them, right? And you see, once again, prior, footage, prior fights, these characters, people like Castro, people like Hisoka, people like Guido, people like Gon, Killua, Zushi, all of them, Wing as well. You can take each one of them and slot them in, as Wing does, doesn't he? So Zushi falls under the Manipulator category. Then you've got Killua in the Transmuter category, and you've got Gon and Wing and Guido. And beyond that, you actually have people like Hisoka and Castro who exhibit many of these at the same time, right? Throughout that fight, Hisoka exhibits a lot of these, many of them, right? They go hand in hand. It kind of builds, one of them builds into another, or kind of leans into another, or a master Nen user such as Hisoka, right? He's able to incorporate so many of these techniques. But in Castro, they gave us a great example of a mix and match of a few of them, but it's also essentially showing us not the greatest use of the mix and match, right? And wasted potential. I mean, listen, I'm just learning about it right now. So, it's going to be exciting to speculate even further as the episodes go on, as I meet new characters. I mean, at this point, I've been given enough information about Nen to just kind of make my own guidebook, right? And it'll be really exciting to kind of come back to a lot of these elements, to the hexagon itself as well, right? This whole idea of the adjacent, and of course, I'm going to see some really special people out there, aren't I? Really special users of Nen, right? There's that idea that it requires a great deal of work or natural talent to learn an incompatible ability. But I'm sure there's some special people out there that can kind of excel at it, right? So essentially, some people are going to excel at it more than others because, it does kind of come down to natural ability as well, right? In addition to hard work. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. If you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in early access or timer-based full length or full opacity, consider checking out the Patreon page and potentially supporting the channel. The links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, things like Twitter and Instagram, if that's your thing. Right then, thank you so much for joining me, folks, and thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for episode 36. Until then, take it easy.